What's up, YouTube world? This is Steven again. It is currently 1:22 a.m. on September 2nd of 2024, and I would like to welcome you all to my 27th video game review, Resident Evil Village for the Xbox One. Fear surrounds you. Fight for survival in a village filled with unspeakable horrors and vicious creatures. If you don't want any spoilers, leave now if you're still here. Well, that's your fault. So Resident Evil Village takes place 3 years after the events of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard at the Baker's residence in Louisiana. So 3 years later, Ethan Winters and his now wife, Mia, move, I believe, somewhere to Europe, and they have a daughter named Rose. Pretty big daughter too. I think on like some kind of postcard or something, it says she was like 14 some odd pounds and like 24 inches long. That's really big for a baby. And I was a pretty big baby when I was born. I was 9 pounds 6 ounces. Don't know how long I was, but I was 9'6", and that's pretty big for a baby as well. But yeah, 14 pounds. Whew. And then you have Chris Redfield, who ended up saving you from the Baker's house at the end of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. And he comes in and infiltrates your house, and he ends up shooting and supposedly killing Mia. So you're thinking, he saved me in Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Why is he turning on me now? I'll get to that later in this review. So you and baby Rose get transported to some just random village, snow-covered, really icy cold village, and I believe I have something in here that says what it is. It is, give me 1 second here. Sorry about that. I got this up so I can reference it. Give me 1 second, guys. It is the settlement. They call it the settlement, and in the settlement are different buildings, and you can go through all those different buildings and find ammo and what have you. And while you're searching through this, there is this woman that says, I guess danger lurks around every corner and stuff like that. I can't remember her name, but yeah, you go through this village in search of Rose, and you end up coming upon a castle. And to get to that castle, you need to find like 2 of these different discs. And when you get to the castle, you encounter a bunch of different enemies, and you end up escaping those enemies through some kind of basement, and then you end up in the castle again, which is called Castle Dimitrescu. And in Castle Dimitrescu is Lady Dimitrescu, who is about 15 feet tall. I ended up giving her the nickname Big Woman because that's what I see her as. She's got to be at least 10 to 15 feet tall. So Big Woman, and her daughters, it's her 3 daughters. I can't remember their names. I think one is named Bella, one's named Danielle, and I can't remember the other name. But yeah, you gotta face all 4 of them. You face each of the daughters one at a time. They're kind of mini bosses, and their weakness is cold, so you gotta end up breaking all kinds of windows to let the cold air in from outside to the inside so you can defeat them. Because when you shoot them, or when you do a physical attack on all the daughters, that does no damage at all until you let the cold air in from all the broken windows, and then it does damage, and they eventually become stone and crumble into pieces. And after you defeat all the daughters, then you can fight Big Woman. And when Big Woman mutates, she mutates into this like flying dragon-like creature almost, and she's on the back of it. And in order to defeat her, you gotta go up to the tower and pretty much defeat her from the tower. And once you defeat her, you fall all the way down to the I guess basement level from the tower, and she ends up crumbling into stone. And then you get Big Woman's flask, and you think, okay, I got the flask. However, I was told to go here, and I could not find Rose, so where is she? So I will get to that in 1 minute. So you have the flask, you take it back to this little altar thing, you put the flask in, And then the Duke. The Duke is the merchant where you purchase ammo and weapons and health items and upgrade your weapons from. The Duke tells you that in order to get Rose back, you need to collect all 4 flasks. At first, I thought, I beat Big Woman. It's the end of the game. So, and it took me about 5 or 6 hours in order to do that. I was like, yeah, this is kind of a pretty short Resident Evil game. And then I found out, oh, it's going to be much longer than 6 hours. So you need to face all kinds of different things. And I really liked the Big Woman boss battle, by the way. The Big Woman boss battle, I would give that boss battle a 4.5 out of 5. And based on scariness going through the Dimitrescu castle, I would also give it a 4 out of 5. So I'm going to rate the boss battles and each location on the map as well. The settlement, which is the village, I'd probably give a 4. So now you have to go and face, like I said, I have it up for reference. Now you go to face, let me scroll up here, give me 1 second, guys. I got the enemies here. So Lady Dimitrescu, and then you go to face Donna Beniviento and her doll. I think the doll's name is Angie. So Donna Beniviento, you go to the Beniviento house and you face Angie, and there's 3 levels to this house. It's a lot smaller than the castle. And in the basement, you stay in the basement for the majority of this part of the playthrough, and there's this gloopy glob baby crying, and that was probably the freakiest part of the basement. So in order to get to fight Angie, you have to go through all of these like different puzzles and stuff, and you find a wooden Mia doll, and you have to unlock this other door in order to get to one part of the breaker unit, so you can activate the elevator again to go back up. And when you go back up, there are all kinds of ceramic dolls around the house, and not counting like the Annabelle movies and stuff like that, I am not big on ceramic dolls, so this was kind of horrifying for me. And this wasn't necessarily a boss battle, it was more of like a hide and seek game. And in this hide and seek game, you need to find the Angie doll within all of these other ceramic dolls that surround all of these rooms in the Beniviento house. And in order to find, you gotta find Angie, I think 3 different times, and the way you kill her is you stab her in the head with the scissors that you obtain when you're in the Beniviento basement part of the house. And after you defeat Angie, then all of the dolls disappear, and then you get to leave the Beniviento house, and you get the flask from the Angie doll. So, based on the scariness, I would definitely give this part of the Resident Evil Village series a 5 out of 5. Based on how scary it was, 5 being the scariest, 1 being not scary at all. Yeah, I would give that a 5 out of 5. Boss battle, I would probably give a 3. 2.5 or a 3, because it wasn't necessarily a boss battle per se. It was more of a hide and seek game. I would just go 2.5 based on boss battle. So you have the second flask. In order to get the third flask, you need to go to Salvatore Moreau. And in order to get to Salvatore Moreau, you need to go back to where this locked door was. And in order to get past that, you need to face this wolf-like creature, like a lichen almost, and you need to defeat that, and then you can go to Moreau's house or section, which is a windmill-like structure, and you meet Moreau, and he's like throwing up and puking up green acid and stuff like that, and to get to the main boss battle, you need to go into this water area, and in order to get to that, you need to go outside where the windmill is, this other area where that windmill is, and you need, in order to get to the boss battle, so Moreau, after he pukes up all this green acid stuff, he apologizes to Mother Miranda, and we're going to get to her later in this review, and in order to defeat him, he turns into this mutated fish-like creature. And in order to beat him, you gotta drain the water in that area so that the fish can be weakened in order for you to end up killing him. And the way you end up killing him, like I said, is you drain the water. And this was probably the toughest boss battle out of all of the ones that I had to do. This one was probably the toughest for me, but so in this form, he pukes up all this green acids, and you pretty much need to avoid the acid and his tail whipping attack, and not get too close to him, but stay enough distance so when he opens his mouth, you can shoot him, because there's this like little person type thing in his mouth that makes up his tongue. So you gotta shoot that when he opens his mouth, and then he apologizes to Mother Miranda, and he ends up exploding in the end of the boss battle. So based on how much I like this boss battle, I thoroughly enjoyed this boss battle. So this boss battle is getting a 5 out of 5. And based on scariness of this level, I would give it about maybe either a 3.5 or a 4. It wasn't necessarily like the scariest type thing. The scariest thing of it was when Moreau would pop out of the water, kind of like do like a jump scare, pop out of the water kind of thing. So you know what, I would go ahead and give this a 4. Why not? Either a 3.5 or a 4, but leaning towards a 4. So now you have to go to this other area, and you need to defeat, I forget the person's name. You need to defeat give me a second. I forget who it is, but yeah, you need to defeat this other boss in order to get the fourth one. Oh, you get the third flask from Moreau, by the way. So in order to get to this next area, you need to kind of go underground, and you need to get the fourth flask from this giant guy. And this was probably the easiest boss battle I had to do out of all of them. And pretty much it took about 7 magnum shots to the head to take him down. You know, not that much ammo. I had a lot of magnum bullets in my stock anyway. I had like 10, and I used about 7 on him. So this was the easiest one. You go into the separate room. You get the fourth and final flash. You know, you're ready to get Rose back. And then you get a message from Carl Heisenberg. And pretty much it says that you can't get Rose back just yet. You gotta go through me first, because I'm the one who wants to kill Mother Miranda. You're not gonna kill her. I'm the one who's gonna kill her. So you go to the Heisenberg factory, and you see that the factory is making up all of these mutated soldats. And when I hear the word soldat, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Wolfenstein series with all of their soldat enemies and machines and stuff like that. So you got defeat all of these soldats in order to get to the last part of the Heisenberg factory. And in order to get to that, pretty much you have to defeat this one enemy that has a fan. I forget the that enemy's name, but in order to defeat him, you gotta expose his back, and you gotta shoot him in the back, because that's where that core is, and you gotta shoot the core until that enemy eventually explodes. And once it explodes, you get to face Carl Heisenberg, or in this case the mutated Carl Heisenberg, where it's like a gigantic soldat machine, and he sends you down. He pretty much sends you down all the way to basement 5, where you meet Chris Redfield again. And Chris Redfield is when he tells you that the person that I shot in your house was not Mia. Ethan Winters thinks it's bullshit, but then Chris explains to him that he's trying to help Ethan because the Mia that was in that house was really Mother Miranda acting as Mia. And Chris was trying to protect him and Rose from the Mother Miranda version of Mia. And so he ended up actually not killing Mia or Mother Miranda, because Mother Miranda is so powerful. And then this is when you get this gigantic machine and go up to face the mutated Carl Heisenberg, which is pretty much a gigantic soldat machine. And he has plenty of cores. Like, down on the base and in the joints of his arms and in his arms, and you guys shoot all of those cores in order to defeat the Heisenberg. I guess the Heisenberg, the mutated Carl Heisenberg Soldat machine. So I would give this boss battle a 4.5 out of 5. It was kind of too short for me, but I liked that I got to operate that heavy machinery in order to kill the mutated Carl Heisenberg. And based on the scariness of the Heisenberg factory, I would give the scariness a 4 out of 5. Like I said, not necessarily too scary, except when these soldats jump out of nowhere. Like I said, kind of more jump scare-esque in a way. And then you get to face Mother Miranda, and in order to do that, after you defeat the mutated Heisenberg, Mother Miranda comes at you and pretty much rips out your heart and squeezes your heart and gets showered in the blood from your heart. And so she pretty much thinks she kills you, and you think you die after you get your heart ripped out. So then you go and play as Chris Redfield, and Chris Redfield thinks you've died as well because your heart gets ripped out. So you defeat all of these Lycan and all of these mutated creatures and stuff like that in order to get to where Mother Miranda is having that ceremony for Rose. And you shoot like 2 lasers out of the sky to this building while trying to kill all of these Lycan. And then in order to get to that part, you need to face this other giant boss. And man, I had to use almost every single bullet in order to kill this guy. I'm not kidding when I said I had 6 bullets left after I killed this guy, but all 5 grenades as well. And that boss battle, I would go ahead and give that boss battle 3. You know, nothing necessarily special about that boss battle, but then then Chris Redfield ends up planting a bomb in this like kind of mutated I forget what they call it. It's some kind of like mutation thing that would blow up the village in the end. And after it gets planted, then you go back to Ethan Winter's body, and also Chris Redfield ends up telling Mia about Ethan and how he thinks he died and everything. And you get inside of this dream that Ethan is having of Evelyn from Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and she's pretty much telling him that you're also mold as well, and that's pretty much what you have to defeat at the Baker house, like all the mold and all the molded and stuff like that. And Evelyn is pretty much telling him, you're dead, you're molded, but it's a dream. And you wake up inside of the Duke's vehicle, and after you get out of the Duke's vehicle, you purchase whatever final items that you need for the final boss battle when you're going to face Mother Miranda. And after you do that, like I said, I saved my game after I did that, and then walked towards the ceremony site where Mother Miranda is, I guess, salvaging Rose. And then you see she has Rose in her possession, and then she starts weakening, like her mascara or makeup's running down her face, and then she transforms into like this gigantic crow type boss, and this is when the boss battle begins. So you pretty much have to shoot Mother Miranda until she dies, basically. And she has different forms. She has her regular form, she has her flying form, and she also has a spider-like form. And speaking of spiders, the spider doll hybrid in the Beniviento house, going back to that, was really freaky during that boss battle when you get to face Angie. Now I'm going to go back to Mother Miranda. She has those 3 forms: her regular form, her flying form, and her spider form. And you get to see those 3 forms, and during the boss battle, sometimes the screen goes completely dark minus the candles that are lit, and you pretty much need to maneuver like in a circle in order to avoid her attacks. She's not necessarily powerful. She doesn't have really powerful attacks per se, but it takes a lot of ammo to kill her. It took almost all of my handgun bullets and pretty much half to 3/4 of my sniper bullets in order to take her down. And once you do take her down, it prompts you to keep shooting her and keep shooting her and keep shooting her. This is kind of like a half cut scene, half playing scene where you get to shoot her, and then she eventually crumbles into rock and sediment. And once that rock and sediment disintegrates, that's when that's when Baby Rose appears, and then you go to pick up Baby Rose, and then you walk away from the boss battle after you beat Mother Miranda, and you find out you're disintegrating yourself. Like, one of your hands just disintegrates and stuff like that. Towards the beginning of the game, 2 of the fingers on Ethan's left hand get bitten off, so you will just see these 3 fingers right here as well. Also, your hand gets sliced off, but it gets reattached because a big woman ends up slicing her hand off in the Castle Dimitrescu. So your body is disintegrating. Chris tells you to come on. Mia's waiting for you. We're almost there. And he ends up getting swallowed up by these like molded like branches and stuff. And Chris takes Rose, Baby Rose, back to Mia. And Ethan ends up hitting the button in order to explode that bomb on that mutation that will end up wiping out the entire village. And Mia's wondering, asking Chris, where's Ethan, where's my husband? And pretty much he said he's gone. He sacrificed himself so that Baby Rose can be saved. Baby Rose and Mia can be saved. And they end up flying away from the village. And that is the end of Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil Village in a nutshell. So the post-game, after the credits roll, you see Rose all grown up as, I guess, maybe a mid to late teenager. Maybe 16, 17, maybe 18. Around late high school, early college age. And she goes to her dad's grave. Plants flowers and pretty much tells him sorry that she missed his birthday, but she was busy and stuff like that. And then she ends up riding off in this like kind of CIA or FBI vehicle with this FBI or CIA agent, and that is when the entire story ends. So what did I think about Resident Evil Village? I thoroughly enjoyed this game a lot. I loved all of the variety of enemies from this game. Oh, the Mother Miranda boss battle, I would give a 4.5, by the way, on a scale of 1 to 5. But I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and all of the different and diverse creatures that you get to encounter in this game, and all of the boss battles. There were so many boss battles in this game, and I like how this game also incorporated kind of an open world map in a way. The map was really, really large, and I was surprised how big it was, especially the Heisenberg factory. I got lost a couple of times at the Heisenberg factory based off how big it was, but I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I loved how the storyline went, and I loved how it was a sequel to Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. This was an absolutely amazing game. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, Resident Evil Village is easily getting a 5 out of 5 for me on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. I loved this game, and out of the 4 different Resident Evil games that I have played, this was by far my favorite of the 4 that I've played, being the 2 remake, the 3 remake, Biohazard, and Village. This was my favorite. Loved this game, really enjoyed it, and I am glad that I finally decided to buy it and play it. Wow, what a great game. But I gotta keep looking through my video games and see what other video game reviews I can do and what other video games I can play in order to do a review. But this is my video game review for today. Resident Evil Village. Absolutely amazing game. If you liked what you saw in this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and comment below. And I'll see you guys next time with another video. This is Steven signing out.